let's talk about Odell Beckham Jr., who still doesn't get it. Still doesn't get it. Because he says he wants to win. That makes us assume he wants to win, right? He says he wants to win, but he assumes that it just happens. There's an expression that people use nowadays. It's called speaking it into existence. And that's exactly what Odell Beckham Jr. is doing. I say I want to win, I say I want to win, I say I want to win, and thus I want to win. But here's the reality. Winning's hard. Really hard. It's really, 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 really hard. And I think that's the biggest issue that most people run into. Is that it's hard to be great at something. It's not easy. There is failure. Tell me something that's easy. You know, this reminds me of people, well, I'll just make an app. Do you have any idea how hard that is? Well, I'll just come up with an idea that no one else has so that I have kind of proprietary information. Then, oh yeah, by the way, I got to make sure that I get it trademarked so no one else can take this idea or come up with this idea. Then I have to develop it. Then once I develop it and roll it out, I have to have a keen marketing strategy and plan. And then I just gotta hope it hits the right demographic at the right possible time. That's a lot of hard-ass work. And the idea that you say, I want to win, I want to win, I want to win, and you don't show up for OTAs, and a writer from GQ says, why didn't you go to OTAs? Well, it's mandatory. Then you don't actually want to win. Tell me something great, and I will tell you the hard work that went into it. Right? What Tom Brady is doing is he is paving roads that no one else may be able to use. Playing high-level football into his 40s. How does he do it? He is dedicated. Between his diet, his workouts, his stretching regimen, he doesn't drink in season. He doesn't party. He's married. He has kids, and he's a father. And then he gets up every day and works and works and works and works. And even then, let's be honest, Tom Brady was one offsides call from losing to the Kansas City Chiefs, if not for Dee Ford lining up in the neutral zone. Correct? Tom Brady is great, but not because he decided in mind, I'm going to be great and said it over and over again and wrote it on the blackboard like the beginning of a Simpsons episode. Tom Brady is great because he works his ass off. Colin Cowherd, who I follow. I was on his show earlier today. I think I'm really good at this. I put my show up against anybody. Like, Colin has his days off. He took Friday off. I did his show. He goes fly fishing. But ask anybody who's ever worked on his show. He starts at 9 local. He's there at 6 in the morning. Why? Because he works his ass off. You don't just wake up with like, oh, I know exactly how I want to do a radio show. No. You get in the room full of people, you start throwing out ideas, you start thinking up things. And then you got to work with TV people to get the video. Like, Steve Jobs and the Apple guys. They didn't just like, oh, all of a sudden, let's come up with an idea of a computer. They started in a garage and worked and worked and worked. They end up making, remember the Apple IIe and the Macintosh? But even then, Apple stock went through a dip, and then they came up with the idea of the iPod, which became the iPhone. Like, all of this through crazy, crazy hard work and crazy, crazy hours. So if you're listening to Odell Beckham Jr. and you think, oh, he's making total sense, the Giants disrespected him. The Giants gave him the ultimate in respect. In the NFL and in any professional sport, the amount you make, by most people's estimation, equates to the amount of respect you have. Are there other issues with it? Sure. Age, where you are, what would it cost to replace you? But the ultimate respect for who you are and what you bring is based upon how much somebody's willing to pay you. And they paid him more than any other wide receiver ever in the history of the sport. And what did he do? Well, he did not properly align himself with his quarterback. He called out his teammates for their lack of work ethic. He bailed on an onside kick that would have sealed a game. He got hurt. That's not his fault, but on some level, whose fault is it when you keep getting hurt? But more than anything, he pissed them off just enough to where they go, you know what? We know we paid you a lot of money. We know we were kind of pot committed to you, but just go somewhere else. Yeah, they disrespected him. If that's your term of disrespect, but it had to be his act, which ran thin, in spite of the fact that we gave you everything you wanted. And you still weren't happy. Because you believe you can speak it to existence. Nothing has ever been spoken into existence. It's been created by hard work. Democracy is really, really hard. It is. You got nuts on both sides that push the envelope. You got people that are tied in based upon who's supporting their campaigns and who supports them at work. And you got to get a room full of people that think differently and act differently and are from different places and get them to think what's the best idea for the most people. And sometimes things aren't going to go your way. Our government is not easy. It's not easy to be a public servant. It's not easy for any of this stuff to take place. But you know what? It's the world's best functioning democracy. You know why? Hard-ass work. And when I hear Odell Beckham Jr. say, wants to win, he wants to win, he wants to win, don't care. Don't tell me you're pregnant, show me the baby. Don't tell me you want to win, show me the work ethic. And whenever you do, don't tell me I didn't show up somewhere because it wasn't mandatory. Voluntary work is exactly the work of championship teams. It just is. And you don't even necessarily have to work as much as you got to show up and show your face and establish relationships and spend time together and be in a fill room and be at lunch together, because those little bonds tend to be the ones that end up being the most fruitful. And I don't think Odell, and I don't think there's a bad bone in his body. I just don't think he understands what it means what it takes to win. They didn't win big when he was in college. He hadn't won big with the Giants. You know, it's the boat trip is very much indicative of who he is and what he's about. It doesn't mean that they didn't lock in. They had a weekend off. They went down and got on a boat. But you got a whole off season you can do that. You could have waited. Additionally, even if you snuck away, you're taking pictures like you're on the cover of a magazine. Like, if you want to go and just hang out with your boys for a day, you can do it. You can get out of the cold and Northeast. People do that all the time. Private jet. But then you're going to publicize it and be stunned when you get some sort of criticism. You got the whole offseason to go on any boat trip anywhere in the world with any guy you want. You choose your off week before a playoff. You choose it before the playoffs to go down with your boys. Your first NFL playoffs. You haven't won anything. You didn't win anything in college. You haven't won anything in the pros. And you're going to go put cart ahead of horse and act like you're conquering the world when all you did was clinch a playoff spot. Of course we're going to be critical. You can go down and be on a boat before the playoffs. You can drive your car with your feet. As Chris Rock would say, that doesn't make it a good idea. Saying you want to win doesn't mean anything. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. Ask a kid. Where do you want to go to school? I want to go to an Ivy League school. You do? You do? Cool. Remember when kids used to want to be astronauts? Does anybody have any idea how hard it is to be an astronaut? Forget it. Forget about the physical pain and torture that they put those astronauts through just to get to the astronaut program. They're masters of science. They're brilliant pilots. They're the best of the best of the best of the best. And how'd they get there? You guessed it, hard-ass work. They didn't go like, I want to be an astronaut. And by the way, there are a lot of people that worked really hard that didn't get there, that didn't make it. They either weren't lucky enough, they ticked off the wrong people, people didn't like them, or maybe they just weren't smart enough because those people are brilliant. You know? He sounds like a child. I want. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a basketball player. Okay. You're going to have to start going to the gym every day. Well, I don't want to be a basketball player that bad. Then you're not going to be one. It's okay. It is okay to bail on dreams because it's too hard. Just don't tell me it's because of any other reason than it was too hard. You know? All of these things. Achievements. You've read the Malcolm Gladwell book, Outliers, where he talks about 10,000 hours of work. It's not just 10,000 hours of showing up in a gym. It's 10,000 hours of working really hard, perfecting your craft. And whatever it is you do, from the trumpet and trombone to being a master of science, literature, to being on the radio or on television, these things take hard work, work ethic, buy-in, and acceptance that sometimes when you screw up, it's your fault. If Odell Beckham Jr. wants respect, well, one, he was given it based upon the contract that he signed, and two, it's a mutual thing. You disrespect your team and teammates when you're critical of them in front of an open mic, and you disrespect the process of what it takes to win when you don't show up for what are seen as voluntary workouts. When you're on a new team and you get run off in spite of a contract which is going to hurt your former team, if you really want to win and you really want guys to buy in to the idea that you want to win, you show up, especially when it's not mandatory. Voluntary workouts are a lot like the NFL's drug testing policy. I don't know if you guys know this. The NFL's drug testing policy is as follows for recreational drugs. They won't test you the rest of the year if you pass the first one. It's not really a drug test. It's an IQ test. And that's essentially, in reality, what voluntary workouts are in the NFL. It doesn't determine if you win or lose. You don't put in all of your offense and all of your defense, but it is that litmus test for, do you really want to win or do you say you want to win? Odell Beckham Jr. thought about retiring because it was hard. I don't have to say any more after that. Hi, I'm Doug Gottlieb from Fox Sports Radio, and you need to subscribe to the Fox Sports Radio YouTube channel where you can hear and see me. Why not? Plus everybody else who's awesome here in Fox Sports Radio.